Hello everyone. For my capstone presentation, I have chosen to analyze United States Steel Corporation. To start off with a little background on the company, US Steel was founded in 1901 and they are an integrated steel producer with operations in the United States and Europe. They produce a wide range of steel products and operate in four main business segments: North American flat rolled steel, tubular products, mini mill, and US Steel Europe, also known as USSK. The strategic issue I have identified is the uncertainty and decline in the steel industry. The steel industry has experienced various fluctuations up and down, and the size of the market is shrinking. With the steel industry being the foundation of the company's strategy, this is a continuing issue that must be addressed. To start off with, I'd like to look at the external factors affecting US Steel in the industry. US Steel does operate in the steel industry, and the market size of the steel industry as of 2023 is roughly $88.3 billion. This is a rather large market, but it has been on the decline. The steel industry in the US has declined about 6.5% on average per year between 2018 and 2023. Next up are environmental factors affecting the industry. The two I've identified are pollution and air emissions. These are two controversial items that all steel manufacturers should be aware of and need to control the pollution and emissions they are letting into the air. Next up are US Steel's top rivals and competitors. First up is Steel Dynamics. They are a US-based steel producer and metal recycler. AK Steel Corporation, they are a company of Cleveland-Cliffs, the largest flat-rolled steel company in North America. Nippon Steel Corporation, a Japanese steel manufacturer. And LMK Group, the largest steel manufacturer in Russia and one of the most efficient producers in the world. Ternium SA, a flat and long steel manufacturer in the US, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Guatemala, and Colombia. And Tenaris, an integrated steel and pipe manufacturer. As you can see, some of these competitors are domestic steel producers, whereas others are international ones. Because of US Steel's global presence in the steel market, they are competing with both domestic and foreign rivals. The next of the internal factors are driving forces. The first driving force I'd like to look at is pricing of raw materials. The prices of raw materials largely affect the selling price of steel. Because we are in the commodity business, trying to allocate and extract raw materials can be pricey, and the prices of these materials do fluctuate, which do largely affect the selling price that companies then sell their steel at. Another driving force in this industry is that it is sensitive to volatility, to changes in market conditions. Steel demand is not constant year over year and is highly affected by changes in the economy. Because of this, it's hard to predict the demand of steel because in a 1 to 2 month span, the demand can drastically change. Next up are pressure from Porter's five forces. I believe the strongest of these pressures is rivalry among competitors. Many manufacturers in the steel industry produce similar interchangeable products. Because of this, competition is high in order to get consumer business. One way US Steel has helped relieve this pressure is by focusing on sustainability. They have created green initiatives and sustainability goals that has given them a competitive advantage over their competitors who are not doing this. Another way US Steel has helped themselves is through the size and scale of their business. They are a very large steel manufacturer. They are not the largest, but because they are much larger than a lot of their competitors, they have been able to scale their production processes and their work, which has worked in their favor. In terms of industry attractiveness, the steel industry is not an attractive industry to operate in. The industry is declining faster than the economy as a whole. Because of this, competition is getting tougher and profitability is becoming more and more difficult to maintain. On the positive side, new entrants to the market are not high, but overall industry attractiveness is not looking great. Next up are the critical success factors. The first one I'd like to highlight is the importance of innovation and research and development for steel companies. They want to focus and put investment towards producing newer and better products. If a company is able to do this and produce a better product than what is currently on the market, it gives them a competitive advantage over companies who have not been able to do this yet. US Steel has devoted efforts to these technological advancements through their research and technology center that they have developed specifically in the Pittsburgh area. Another critical success factor is efficient manufacturing processes. The manufacturing process is a rather lengthy process, so it is critical that companies can find an effective way to get products through production. And finally, the final critical success factor I'd like to highlight is cost management. Low costs are crucial for managing fluctuations in the steel market and ensuring profitability. As we've seen before, pricing of raw materials and selling prices fluctuate up and down depending on the year, depending on the month. So, having strong cost management and keeping costs low are crucial. Next, I'd like to change over to internal factors affecting specifically US Steel, their mission and values. First of all, they pursue a best for all strategy. The objective of this strategy is to make next generation steels not only advance our customers' products, but also contribute to lower carbon, more sustainable planet. This strategy was implemented roughly 3 years ago and it is the direction the company has chosen to take for the future. Next up, their values are rooted in their STEEL principles. They are made up of safety first, trust and respect, environmental stewardship, excellence and accountability, and lawful and ethical conduct. These STEEL principles are everywhere on their website and are the foundation of their employees and how they conduct their work. Next up, they also have a strong corporate culture, mainly through their employee resource groups, also known as ERGs. The company has established 8 ERGs for employees to join. Some of them are focused around women empowerment, sustainability, parents, veterans, anything you can imagine. It is a way for employees to get involved based on their interests outside of their job position. Next is a SWOT analysis. Strengths related specifically to US Steel is they have a reliable supplier base and distribution channels to get their products out to consumers efficiently. They also have a strong brand portfolio rooted in their longstanding history in the industry, and they have large economies of scale to scale their production and make it as efficient as possible. Weaknesses, on the other hand, they have had limited success outside of their core business line. The North American flat rolled business is the largest contributor to the company's profits, and they rely on this segment for the majority of their profitability each year. US Steel is also inefficient at product demand forecasting, leaving high levels of inventory on hand every year, thus high costs. And finally, losing market to new entrants. Opportunities for the company, they have a strong brand reputation and customer loyalty, which keeps customers coming back and also attracts new customers as well. Government agreements to open new markets gives the company opportunities to produce new products, attract new customers that they did not have access to before, and new trends in customer spending. And finally, threats to the steel industry are fluctuating laws and regulations, primarily from governing bodies, shortage of skilled workers to run production lines, rising raw material prices, and volatility in global markets and currency fluctuations. Core competency for US Steel is producing high quality and incomparable valued products at reasonable prices. They also have an emphasis on customer support and finding solutions that best fit their consumers. Because the company has had decades of success and a long-standing history in the steel industry, they use this to their advantage and continue to market themselves based off their high quality products. Next up is value chain activities. The first value added activity is improving efficiency in the manufacturing process. As I mentioned before, the manufacturing process is lengthy, so any way that they can automate and eliminate human employee requirements in this process is crucial. It not only lowers costs, but also lowers the time it takes to produce the product. The next value activity is inbound and outbound logistics. As I said, getting a product through production is crucial. So finding exactly when the product needs to enter production in order to get to the customer on time is critical. US Steel has actually invested in technology that pinpoints exactly when a product needs to enter production in order for it to be produced and delivered to the customer on schedule. US Steel does pursue a differentiation competitive strategy as a way to stand out from their competitors. One way they have been able to do this is through establishing green initiatives. They have a goal of net zero greenhouse emissions by 2050. This does give them a competitive advantage because not all steel companies are pursuing green initiatives, sustainability goals. So this does give them a way to market themselves and make them stand out. In terms of growth methods, US Steel has primarily used product diversification and expansion into new markets as a way to grow. This has taken years and years in order to get as large as they have, but they do have a wide range of products that they offer and they sell in various markets. They also entered into the energy market through the acquisition of Marathon Oil Company and Texas Oil and Gas Corporation. They opened a manufacturing plant in Slovakia as their way to grow into the foreign steel market. This was the establishment of the USSK business segment, and it gave them exposure to international steel competitors. And finally, a reorganization. US Steel separated from Marathon Oil Company to create two separate companies, and this is the organizational structure that they still have today. Next up is their diversification strategy. US Steel did use a related business strategy and diversified into different areas of solely steel production. The positive to this approach is they were able to scale their operations and become a giant in this industry. They are very good at what they do. However, on the flip side, if they were to diversify into unrelated businesses, it would have helped combat the volatility in the steel market. So this is one of my recommendations for their strategic issue is that maybe considering non-related businesses could help combat some of these volatility and fluctuations that they deal with being in the steel market. In terms of foreign market expansion, US Steel entered into the foreign market by purchasing steel assets in Slovakia, creating the USSK business segment. This gave them exposure to the US steel market, new customers, and also new challenges and risks that they did not have domestically. Their organizational structure, they are structured into four business segments, and the majority of their revenues do come from the North American flat rolled steel segment. US Steel has a code of ethical business conduct focused primarily around their steel principles: safety, trust and respect, environmental stewardship, excellence, accountability, lawful and ethical conduct. They also produce a yearly sustainability report, which is a comprehensive report outlining actions that have been taken to help achieve sustainability goals and initiatives and what they plan to do in the future. And finally, the CEO of US Steel is David Barrett. He has been the CEO since 2017. He is a hands on leader with a strong presence in the manufacturing process. He's very collaborative, pursues their corporate culture, and is the driver behind all of the success the company has seen in the past 5 years. Next up is a financial analysis. As we can see, US Steel's financials for the past 5 years, 2018 to 2022. 2019 and 2020 were rough years for the company, reporting a negative net income, especially in 2020. The company has been able to recover since then, putting up positive numbers. Mainly, this is due to just the fluctuations in the steel industry. Demand was down, steel prices were down, and ultimately the company could not cover their cost of production and make enough profit on them. However, their ratios look good. Their price per share has been roughly around $25 to $35. So overall, their financials are not bad, but they do reflect the challenges seen in the steel industry. This is a key ratio comparator financial analysis between US Steel, Steel Dynamics, and Ternium. As we can see, a lot of their ratios are comparable. Some companies beating out the others in different categories. The one major difference I'd like to highlight that US Steel does have over all of these companies is their size. US Steel brings in billions of dollars of revenue every year, whereas Steel Dynamics, Ternium, and other various competitors only bring in millions. So that is something to consider when comparing these companies hand in hand. So overall, the steel industry is at the root of US Steel's strategy and decision-making process. The industry poses specific risks and challenges that need to be factored into the company's goals, and ultimately, it is at the foundation of how they conduct their business. US Steel cannot be successful if they do not understand how to navigate the industry. This strategic issue has challenged US Steel for its entire existence and is likely going to cause further challenges for years to come. One recommendation I have to combat this is to diversify into unrelated businesses. They have seen success, but ultimately, maybe the steel industry is not reliable for the future. So, diversifying, expanding their product line could be the solution to remaining in the industry, still being a steel giant, but also finding some consistency in their revenues and how they conduct business. Thank you.